Hello and welcome to the Sewing Studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make the next postcard block in our monthly postcard club, and this is for the month of August. So this month I've chosen a seascape and I've put some little daisies in the grass and I've put some Agapanthus in the foreground. They're my version of Agapanthus anyway, because here in Cornwall, we have so many beautiful Agapanthus that grow in lovely purples and dark blues. And as you all know, purple's my favourite colour. So that's why it's got to be Agapanthus for the month of August. So I'm going to show you how to make this, and I'm going to do the background slightly differently this time. So as you know, the postcards are cut at 5 by 7, and we are going to trim those down when we come to put them all together at the end. So I've got my background fabric and this is 5 by 7, and what I've done is I've already put the Bonder web on the fabric and I've peeled the back of the Bonder web, so this is slightly tacky. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to organise my strips, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get some sky, some sea, some sand and some grass. And because this is all done with scraps, I've just got some strips here that I may or may not cut about. So I'm just going to lay them onto the background, and some of them might hang over the edge. That doesn't matter because we'll come to trim that afterwards. So I might want some of this one and some blue, turquoise, some blue, and then I want something that resembles sand. So I'm just going to line that up. And the great thing about this is nothing matters. It can be just how you want it to be, or as rough and random as you want it to be. So I'm just going to pull these all down a little bit. I probably could cut an extra bit of yellow. I think that's what I'll do instead of worrying about trying to use that little scrap. So I'll just cut another sort of yellow shape very roughly. Just make it slightly less jagged. It's funny, isn't it, how you get stingy about your scraps. So I want that to be like a hill, so I'm going to put that there. So I've done it the opposite way round to what I've done on the postcard, but it doesn't matter. No, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to cut the grass. I want that to come up a little bit higher than the sand. So you can see I'm just sort of playing around with these shapes until I'm happy with my background. So I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that to the iron and I'm going to press all of those down so I can secure the glue of the Bonder web. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some grease-proof paper so that I don't get glue on anything. So I'm just going to put that on there and I'm going to take it over to the iron. I'm going to press it all in place. So I'll just gently press it from the middle, working outwards. So I'll just push any creases to the side. Just hold the heat of the iron. And what that will do is that will release the glue that's on the bottom piece of fabric. And so all the other pieces will attach. And then I'll take it back over to here. And I'm just going to trim it up. So you can see this is bigger than our background fabric, but I've got the basic shape for the seascape on the postcard. So I'm just going to trim that up. So I'm going to turn it over so I can see where the edge of my background fabric is. So there you can see that we've got the start of our background. So the next thing I would do, if you look at the one that I've prepared, you can see that I've put some stitch in, which also holds down the fabric that we've just stuck down with Bondweb, but it also gives the illusion of waves. And then in the grass, I've done some green wavy stitches, and in the sand, I've done some yellow stitches. And the great thing with this is it allows you to experiment with your sewing machine and all the different stitches that you've got on your sewing machine. So I would encourage you to have a go, have a play with the stitches on your machine, and just give some texture and depth to your background. So the next thing I wanted to show you was how to do the Agapanthus. So what I did was I used one of these iron-off pens, and I just very roughly drew a stem coming up. Now this will iron off, so if you don't get it right, it doesn't matter. So I drew the stem, and I would have done this after I've stitched down all these pieces. But for the purposes of today, I just want to show you how to do this. And then I drew, just very roughly, lines coming out like this. Because if you look at an Agapanthus, they're sort of cup shape, and then they've got all the flowers coming out. And then next thing I did was I went to the sewing machine. You can see that I've gone over that, but that's not the end of the world because it all irons off, and I'm going to do some stitches. So I would do this shape, and I'm going to go to this machine, and I'm going to show you if you've got a stitch that you can use that's this sort of heavier stitch that you could use for a stem, you can do that. Alternatively, if your machine doesn't do that, you can do some hand embroidery, and you could do some back stitch, and you can create this illusion of your Agapanthus. It doesn't have to be Agapanthus. You might want to choose something else. But I'm going to go to the machine now, and I'm going to show you what I mean by putting in the stems. So I've chosen stitch number 11 on this Bernina, which is the Bernina 570, and that's what I'm going to use for the stem. But I would encourage you to see what stitches you've got available. So I'm just going to press away any of the drawn lines so that you can see that I've got this rough background shape of the stems for the Agapanthus. And then the next thing I did was I did these stitches. If you look at this one, I did these clusters of purple stitches over the stems. So you could either use buttons or beads, or you could do some hand embroidery, and you could put these little stitches in clusters of purple or dark blues to create the illusion of your flowers. And then finally what I did was I put some little daisies in the grass. Now it may be again that you want to do some embroidery to finish it off. So as I always say, make it your own. It's got to be what you've got in your stash that you can use up to create this picture. So that is August. So I'm now just going to give you a quick recap on the other months. So we've got January, February, March, April, May, I love this one with the little people, June, July, and now August. So if you're enjoying this, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss next month. So look out for September's postcard, and at the end of the year I'm going to show you how you can put them all together in a wall hanging or a little quilt. So as always, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.